Hey everybody, what's up? No arrows once again. Hope you guys had a happy new year. Hope you got your Christmas trees taken down safely. Today I've got another throwback review for you. I'm going to be looking at Rising Stars, published by Top Cow. At first, then it went over to Joe's Comics, which was a imprint of Top Cow at that time. But anyways, it is written by J. Michael Straczynski, of course, and drawn by kind of a variety of people, really. It ran for 24 issues, and I just kind of pulled out, a kind of a random assortment here rather than show you the whole series. But, yeah, it's a superhero comic, and it's basically about this, kind of flash, or like a meteor comet-like event that, there you can see it there. I think, does the meteor actually hit the town? I can't remember. It's kind of been a long time since I've read this. But basically there's this, meteor or flash or something that affects this town. And what happens is it causes all the children who are, or I guess, all the, I guess they're not children yet, but all the, in utero fetuses in this town, they acquire powers, and then after they're born, these powers start manifesting. So, yeah. I don't know if I explained that well, but basically, yeah. So, the government, once the government starts realizing that all the kids in this town who are born at this particular time, start showing strange powers, they, quarantine all these kids, and they kind of, grow up together, and so, as adults, they all know each other, and, they all have these, powers, or some of them don't. Some of them, still don't know what their powers are yet, their powers never manifested or whatever, but they all know each other. And they discover that all their powers are kind of linked. Their level of power that they all have is kind of shared between them. They all draw from the same pool of power, sort of. So when one of them dies, then all the other ones get a power boost, because they don't have to share with as many people anymore. And so of course, these heroes, or I mean, not all of them are heroes. Some of them are just people trying to live normal lives and everything. But basically, these kids, they start getting. I mean, they're not kids anymore either; they're adults. But you know what I'm trying to say here? Just these people who are in this group, they start getting bumped off, and some of them take it upon themselves to kind of try and get to the bottom of things. And that's kind of the setup for the first act. It's kind of a story split up into 3 acts. But I don't want to really kind of. I mean, it goes in way beyond that, but I don't really want to spoil the entire comic or anything. But basically, I mean, that first act is super good. It's it's a really good, really thrilling read. I mean, it's just as soon as you finish one issue, you gotta read the next one. It's just you're just hooked. You're really gripped. And the next 2 arcs or acts, they're not quite as good. You kind of wish that that sort of murder mystery story was the whole comic, but it does, as it moves beyond that, it does kind of, it's still good. It's still it moves in directions you wouldn't expect it to, and it stays really fresh and interesting. And most importantly, it has a really good conclusion. Without spoiling anything, not a lot of comics really have good conclusions, and that's kind of the thing that JMS is known for. If you know anything about him, he first rose to fame. I don't know if he first rose to fame through it, but his biggest claim to fame, I guess, is Babylon 5, and that was a show that was well acclaimed for its tight plotting. At the beginning of the show, he said, this show's only going to run for 5 seasons. It's going to be very self-contained. It's not going to stretch out unnecessarily, every episode's going to mean something and affect something. And I think, and he does the same, that's kind of what he does really well. He does the same thing with Rising Stars. I think the first issue that came out, he said, yeah, this is only going to be a 24-issue comic. I have it all planned out. Don't worry, you guys. And you can tell when reading it that it's very, concisely plotted. There's not a lot of fat. And, yeah. It makes it a good read, for sure. It's kind of a rare thing to see. Sometimes you'll find people who do that, but it's not common. Comics are a serialized storytelling medium, and what comes with that, same with television, is you have creators thinking of the beginning, then they have a vague idea of the ending, and then the rest of the story is just doing whatever you can to delay the ending from coming. You want this comic or this show to just last as long as you can, and so that's something that's kind of rare to see, taking that kind of approach, or this kind of approach. And that's one of the things that really stands out about all of JMS's comics. He's not he has his flaws for sure, but I think he's a good writer. He still does a lot of good stuff for Image. He brought back Joe's Comics, and he's doing a bunch of different things for them now, but nobody's really paying much attention. Yeah. And they should, he's still a good writer. But anyways, let's talk about the art. Like I said, various artists contributed to this. Here we have Brent Anderson. He's one of the better ones. A lot of the art in this series isn't very good, to be honest. It's just there to service the story, really. That at this point, Top Cow, they weren't all their I'm not really sure what I want to say, but basically, Top Cow's name artists, they were kind of either working on their own creations, or they were jumping ship and going to the big two, and so yeah. But Brent Anderson's a good artist. This issue looks very nice. And yeah, it's a good comic. The characters are well written. There's good character interactions. It feels, it's written by Babylon 5. There's something about the way he writes character interactions and romance and stuff that feels very JMS. You can tell it's him. If I handed you this comic and didn't tell you who wrote it, if you'd seen Babylon 5, you would probably guess that JMS was behind it. But yeah, it's a good superhero comic. If you like this kind of thing, kind of alternative takes on superheroes, kind of thrillers, if you like a thrilling superhero story, then like if you're into Irredeemable or something, you might want to go back in time a little bit and check out Rising Stars, because it's kind of in that same niche, or that same nook and cranny or whatever in the comic sphere. And yeah, I mean, I recommend. I don't really know why this comic's been so forgotten. Whenever people talk about, really good, like, indie superhero comics, like, nobody really mentions this book, and I don't really know why, because it's so tightly plotted. It's so, like, it's very ambitious. It doesn't quite, get to where the ambition wants it to go, but it's a very ambitious comic. It's very well done, well put together, and like I said, it has a really satisfying conclusion that really ties the whole series together. And I think this is one that's worth checking out, So, yeah.